Hello, my name's Oliver Bell from Newcastle United Foundation, and I've been asked to put together a short presentation just to try and explain some of the things that we may be able to offer you as an NHS member of staff. Now, I'm going to take you through one of the presentations which we do for various people around the region of the North East, and this is on our or around our campaign called Be a Game Changer. Now, before I get into that, I thought I'd just take you through a couple of things around mental health and why we feel like it's so important here at the Foundation. So, I suppose where we always like to start with is, what does the term mental health mean to you? Now, we go around and we ask people what they think of this word because there's often quite a lot of confusion between what we mean by mental health and what we mean by mental illness. Now, if we were to look at the definition of mental health, it includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects everybody. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And if our mental health can affect how we think, feel, and act, sometimes that can be quite detrimental to our behavior, and it can stop us performing at our best. So if we think of our workplace and if we think about being the best we possibly can be, if we're not quite looking after our mental health, if we're neglecting it, if we're thinking that it's not important to us, then that can affect how good we are at doing what we do. So for us here at the Foundation, we feel like it's really, really important that people do look after that. We also know that in the Northeast especially, we've got such high statistics around around people who are suffering with things like mental illnesses. We know that nationally, 1 in 4 of us will experience a problem within the next year. 1 in 6 employees suffer things like depression, anxiety, and stress. That's even higher in certain workplaces like the NHS. Suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 49, and 75% of all of those suicides are men. So we know that there's a real issue out there, especially here in the Northeast, and we've got some of the highest rates of suicide nationally. We always like to start some of our talks that we do around busting some ideas that we have around mental health. So you're welcome to play along, and it's a bit of a true or a false here. So 50% of people with a mental health problem experience stigma. Do we think that's true? It's actually false. There's a lot more, 90%. Why do people experience stigma? Well, that might be down to misconceptions, and those misconceptions might stem from things in the media, or it might stem from people's professions. You may feel that if you were to experience a mental health problem, then that might be a weakness, and you wouldn't be as good at doing your job. And that's not the case whatsoever. That's really not true, and we know that. So that might be what adds to stigmas. 10% of people with a severe mental health problem have been the victim of crime in the last year. Well, again, that's false. 45% of people with severe mental health problems may have been the victim. So that's clearly an issue, is that those who suffer from severe mental health issues tend to be the victims rather than the perpetrators of crime, which is often what we think of the opposite. 2/3 of people believe that the workplace contributes to their mental health illness. Now, that's also true. We believe that a lot of people in society think that the workplace can contribute to the mental health. So what can we do at the Foundation to try and help that? The majority of people with a mental health problem wait around 3 months before telling any close family or friends about it. That's false. Over a year. People tend to wait over a year. Now, if you can address mental health issues before this time, then you can prevent those issues from becoming illnesses, which is obviously really important. Recovery from mental health is possible, and that is true. And that's why I'm here giving you this little bit of a talk around how you might be able to support some of the issues that you may be experiencing. Now, before I do, I just want you to have a quick look of this video. So this is our Be a Game Changer video. We launched this back in 2019. Have a watch and see what you think.
When I was 10, I lost my older brother Dan to suicide.
This little inner monologue said, "You'll never beat this ever, you'll always let them down, you should go and kill yourself."
I've also lost close friends to suicide as a result of depression. It just ripped through our family. A lot of people just don't know where to turn.
It's sneaky, it's sly. In the football community, I think there's a bit of a stigma around mental health in general, but more so with men, because just as I did, I think they feel we have to be strong, we have to be masculine, we have to be tough, we have to put that brave face on and the British stiff upper lip.
Suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. I just wish that they could have reached out to somebody. Suicide changed my life. but it didn't end my life.
This campaign has shown it's not just me. It isn't. There's a whole world of people like me, but a whole world of people like me who are trying to do things a little bit differently and get better and help other people.
We're already talking about football, but actually, while we're having that conversation, why don't we check in? Why don't we check how our mates are doing? I know for me, when I lost Dan, football was my medicine.
You don't have 52,000 people in the pub, and you don't have things like this going on in the pub.
Be a Game Changer is one of the most important projects that I've seen over the last few years. It can have an impact on so many people, and it can acknowledge that actually it's okay to struggle. We're all united by the club, so we've got that common ground. The conversation's already started. It's just taken in the right direction.
So this video demonstrates what our Be a Game Changer campaign is. We basically launched in January 2019, and we launched with this slogan: telling somebody to man up can result in a man down. We're basically using the campaign to try and change cultures or the conversations around mental health in the Northeast. You might be sat there going, well, no campaign really addresses my mental health issue, or no mental health campaign reaches out to me, or I know a loved one who I know can see is really struggling with their mental health issues, and they're probably not going to pay attention. Now, they might pay attention if we put the black and white stripes of Newcastle United in front of this. So that's one of the aims of this campaign. And through the campaign, we offer various things to the members of the public. And one of them is our online presence. We've got a website where we have top tips on how to stay healthy, how to support other people. You can get advice on how to help yourself or a friend. And there's also a place where you can share your stories. And the stories have proved to be really powerful when we've released these out into the media. We have a Facebook group which currently stands at over 2,000 members. This has become a nice community where people can go and support each other. You're welcome to join. We're going to do a big NHS push next week to try and get as many people as possible to join from the NHS so that we can all prove that we're there to support each other. We all have bad days, and sometimes a little bit of support from people on that group can help through those bad days. This is one of the stories which we launched the campaign with. It's Scott's story. Now, Scott came out and told us about some of the issues that he'd had, and as a result of Scott explaining his stories, that snowballed into other people realising, well, hang on a minute, I might be affected by this. I'm not immune. I might struggle with some sort of issues in the future. Now, if you sat there going, well, I'm more red and white than black and white, then you're in luck. We partnered up with the Foundation of Light earlier this year, and the campaign now goes across Sunderland, South Tyneside, North Tyneside, Newcastle, Gateshead and Northumberland, where we're all trying to do something. We're trying to put our rivalries aside, and it doesn't matter whether or not you're wearing a red and white shirt or a black and white shirt. We're all in this together. Now, it might be that some people that you've come across are beginning to socially isolate, which is great, but that obviously brings with it various different issues. So that's why we're trying to support people through our social media activities. Every Monday night, we've got a quiz on our Be a Game Changer Facebook group. It's between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Hopefully it replaces the usual pub quiz that people go to. There's a toilet roll challenge. You may have seen videos of people doing kick-ups with toilet rolls. See if you can take part in that one. We're doing Be a Game Changer talk sessions where we're sitting down with experts and we're trying to understand various different things that can help support us during this self-isolation period. And we've got various challenges coming up in the future as well, exercise challenges, which you may want to take part of in the future too. Now, top tips. You may be in the position where you need to support somebody during their self-isolation, or you may be self-isolating yourself. Now, I've been going out and I've been doing a little bit of reading, a little bit of research around what advice we're given to support ourselves when we are self-isolating. And I think a common theme that comes up is creating a routine. If somebody is getting up on a Monday and behaving like they would on a Saturday or a Sunday and they're wearing the pajamas until lunchtime, then that can become quite unhealthy. So from what I can understand, getting up at the same time and trying to stick to the same routine as what you would if you were working from an office is really important. So getting up at the same time, if you have a commute, go for a walk instead of that commute. set your workspace up and keep your workspace away from your sleeping area. I think that's clearly really important too. Taking short breaks and making sure that when you finish work, you turn off from work, connect with other people as well. And that connecting with other people might have to be through things like Microsoft Teams or Zoom or House Party, and there's all these different platforms, but try to have these face-to-face conversations through the online portals that we have access to. But I also know that there's huge amount of support for people out there who are working within the NHS. Reassurance and practical personal protection training to relieve anxieties are now out there for those who work within the NHS. Regular updates from the exec and senior staff is beginning to filter through. Free car parking is now available for NHS staff. Food is becoming free of charge as well. Hotel and rest facilities for staff who can't go home. Encouragement to eat well, prioritise sleep and exercise. I think that's important to maintain throughout everybody's life, is to make sure that we keep ourselves as physically healthy as what we possibly can to ultimately try and help our mental health. We also know that the psychological team within the Trust and Occupational Health have opened up staff access line to talk about concerns or stresses. And this went live yesterday, which was the 25th of March. So give those links a try. I clearly don't work within the NHS, so you will probably be able to find these far better than what I can. But I do have access to things like these external support mechanisms, like mindfulness apps, things like Headspace. If you've never given it a go, give it a try. I've worked with people who are the silverback gorillas of the world, who are completely anti-mental health, and they've gone away and they've tried that Headspace app and they've come back and thought, you know what, that's really made a difference to my life. That's really, really impacted me and helped support me in the times when I really needed it. So if you feel like that would help, give it a go. Any other information, please give me a shout. These are my details, but I wish you all the well, all well and good, and all the best, and keep going. Thank you. Speak soon.